Welcome back. We're going to do some more world building in this video. Previously, we showed you how to bring in an object and change its position, change its scale. But let's look at a couple of the other objects that you can get, and then let's talk about what to do if you can't find the object that you want in AltSpace. So first of all, if we go back over here to our world editor, I can go to my editor panel, and I have kits. If I look at featured kits, there are a lot of choices available here. And one of the things you may not realize is some of these items are animated. Like with the animals, if I want to bring in a cat, and let's go and position that cat here. We'll put that cat on the orange chair in front of me. And you notice it's moving because it's animated. So there are lots of different kinds of objects that you can get. For example, there are other skyboxes available. Rather than having to page through all of these, which gets really tedious when you want to just check out everything that's available, here's the pro tip. Go to the AltSpace website, and under More, you'll find an option called Kits. And then under Kits, if you go to Featured, this is what you're seeing inside the app. So let's take a look at all of those animals. Okay. Now you can see them mostly without having to page through the UI, which gets a little bit awkward. And you can actually copy it to the clipboard right from here. I'll show you how that works in a little bit when we talk about bringing in some other models. But at least this will tell you what kits are available and what's inside each of those kits. But what happens if you look all through these featured kits and you can't find what you need? Well, you have a couple of options. One of them is if you can code or even find your way around Unity to use some of their drag and drop stuff, you could go and make whatever you want in Unity. And then you can bring it in. And in fact, you can bring them in as individual objects called models, or you can bring them in as a full kit that has a lot of different objects inside of it. When I learn how to do that, I will definitely share that with you in a video. Another thing that you could do is go out on the Discord server for AltSpace. They have a lot of world builders out there who are really happy to go and share their experience, and they may even be willing to share a model with you if you ask nicely. Another option that you have is going and searching on the web for models. And if you come down here to create a model, you'll notice that one of the options here is Sketchfab. And that is a site where you can find all sorts of 3D models, many of them for purchase, most of them for purchase, but you can also sometimes find some free ones up there. And in fact, in searching around, one of the 3D models that I found, which is really cool, is this Christmas house kit. And this one is absolutely free to use in projects, but they do ask you to credit it. So I'm going to say, Kenny, thank you for this fantastic model. And if I wanted to bring in kind of my little winter wonderland scene here, I can go ahead and download that. My 3D holiday winter house kit came in as a zip file, and I went ahead and expanded that. And you'll notice there is a link here for Patreon. Kenny does have a Patreon site if you'd like to support his work out there. I'm going to come down here to models, and the GLTF format is what we're looking for. So for example, if I wanted a candy cane very badly, great. I've got a candy cane here in Mint. I can double click on that, and in Windows by default, that's going to open it in the 3D object viewer. And so I can actually turn that around, take a look at it, say, yep, I think that is a perfect candy cane for what I want to do with this. Now, while I'm in here, if this is the one I'm going to use, it's a good idea to go ahead and pop open your clipping tool and take a little snip of that so that you'll be able to provide a thumbnail for it. And I've already created one down here. So great, I've got my candy cane mint. Now what I need to do is go back to my AltSpace, and remember we were on models, and I said I wanted to create a model. So here's my mint candy cane. And then remember that GLTF? That was the format we wanted. So I'm going to go back there and find candy cane mint. and bring in that. Now it actually says GLB, but it works with the GLTF. There's some GLB packing stuff, but if you've got it in this format and it works, just use it. And then for the image, this is the thumbnail that I created. So this is a PNG or a JPEG of that object that I saved previously. And it's helpful to remember what you're making these with. So I can go ahead and create a model. Now the image is optional, but if I don't create an image, it's just going to give me this picture up here. So I do want to have that little thumbnail. And then when I come in, great. There's my thumbnail. And there's my description. And here is this long string of things and an option to copy it to clipboard, which I'm going to go ahead and do. Great. So that's on my clipboard now. If I go in to edit it, you'll notice I can change the image, I can change the file. And another thing I can do is add a friend. So if I wanted to share this with someone, like my alternate account here, I can go ahead and add that. And then whenever that account goes to look at the models, this model is going to be available for them to bring in and use in their environment. So great. Remember, I copied that to my clipboard. Now what I want to do is bring that into my world. I'm going to go to Basics. And one of the things I can bring in Basics, oh yeah, this mysterious thing called GLTF, that's what we want. And I have to paste the URL. So that was the one that I copied from the model that I created. And I can paste it in and confirm. And there's my candy cane mint. And I'm not always able to drag it until I come in here and select it in the world editor. But now I can go ahead, I can rotate it, I can resize it, I can move it over and put it on top of a chair. And yay, I have a candy cane. But what if I can't find the object that I really want anywhere on the web for free or for pay? Well, this is where I finally found a use for something that is in Windows 10 called Paint 3D. I just always go back to the 2D paint because that's what I'm used to. But if I'm doing work in AltSpace, this is really helpful. And one of the things that's very cool is there are a bunch of additional objects here in this 3D library. So if I really wanted to do something for a celebration, for example, oh, look, here's a nice big red bow that I might want to bring in. So yay, I've got a red bow. And I'm not going to try to explain to you how to use all of the things here in 3D Paint because that's a whole different story and a set of frustration. But once I have my object in here, I can come over here to the menu. I can say Save As, and I can save it as a 3D model. And you notice my option here is to save it as a GLB. So I can say, yep, save that big red bow. And while I'm at it, I can come here and make a little thumbnail of that big red bow. And then just like we did a minute ago, I would come back here to Models, Mine, Create, and find my big red bow GLB file, and my big red bow JPEG thumbnail, and create that model. Copy it to my clipboard. Remember, we go to Basics, GLTF, paste it, and there's my bow. So with that, as long as you can draw in 3D Paint, you can do pretty much anything you need without even having to go to Unity. But if you want to do some of the more interesting things, like the animations over here, yeah, at some point you're probably going to want to start checking out Unity. Now, there's one more thing I'm going to show you over here. I have found that it's really cool to make a photo booth in this little space here. And I like using this alley because people are more likely to be able to get a decent selfie with that selfie camera when it's kind of framed by the space around the alley. So the first thing I'd want to do with that is come in here and build something in PowerPoint. And I usually just use the default sizing, and you get whatever logo you want and you just kind of space them out so they have this nice little alternating thing going on here. You can be as precise as you like about lining everything up. And then go ahead and save a copy and save it as a PNG or a JPEG, doesn't really matter. And then I've already got my PNG version out here. So then we're going to use 3D Paint, and I'm going to kind of line things up here so I can see both 3D Paint and my file. And back over here, you notice it didn't actually save my working 3D Paint previously. It just saved the model because I did a save as, and that's fine. If I really wanted to come back and edit this and then save it as another model, then I should save it in 3D Paint format. But I'm just going to create a new file. Don't save my stuff. And then the trick that I found for working with these is I can't just go and open that PNG or JPEG file here because it doesn't give me the option that I need. So what I do is I just get it so I can see both of them, and I drag it and I drop it in here, and great. There's my object. And you notice over here, now I have an option called Make 3D. That's what I want. And if you look, it's actually standing out a bit from the canvas. So I want to take that back a bit there and have it just kind of lined up. Otherwise, when I bring it into the world, it's going to be a lot thicker when you actually go to look at it, because there'll be the canvas and there'll be some space, and then there'll be the picture that I brought in. So now what I want to do is save this as a 3D model, and we'll call it AltspaceVR backdrop. And then just like we did before, we'll come back to mine, AltspaceVR backdrop. Fill everything in, create my model, copy it to the clipboard, and then go back into the world. Now, what gets a little bit tricky in working with these flat picture models that I bring in is I can't get them to be collidable, so people can walk right through them, which can be a cool effect if you want something like that. But for my picture frame here, what I'm actually going to do is put up something that is collidable so that people can back right up to that picture and make sure that they're going to be in a good position right next to my photo booth. And to find that, I go to AltSpace, Kits, Home, and then I bring in the frame. I'll put all of these into the notes for this video so you don't have to try to copy them out of here. And then I say confirm, and voila. Now I've got this nice solid thing that people can't walk through and suddenly find themselves outside in the courtyard, unless you wanted them there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is bring in that video that I created. So same as before, basics, GLTF, click there, and there's my AltspaceVR backdrop, confirm. And I'm going to go find that in here, just like I did with the other things, and click on it. And you look at it and you go, wait a minute, Kathy, it's not there. Where'd it go? Well, it is actually there. For some reason, when I bring these things in, they're always transparent when I'm looking from the back. But if I go and look at my numbers over here, you notice how my Y rotation is 180. It's facing away from me. I'm going to do a 180 turn from whatever is showing there. So if it's 90, make it 270. If it's 270, make it 90, whatever it is. In this case, 180, I'm going to make it 0. And I'm also going to just make the X rotation 0 while I'm at it because it doesn't need to be rotated at all. There we go. Now it flips around and faces me. So now I could walk this into place, but I will actually just give you the coordinates that I use on this one as well. And confirm that. And there you go. Now, if you wanted to futz with it a bit, if you wanted to make it bigger, that's fine. But now at this point, when you want to take your selfie, you just want to kind of center yourself on the carpet, walk all the way up until you can't go anymore, and then turn around and go grab the selfie camera. There you go. Perfectly lined up. And the other tip with this one, if you want to have other people take a picture with you, then turn off your bubble and have them stand next to you. If the bubble is on, you're not going to see them when you're right next to you. But as long as everybody's bubbles are off, you can kind of use your A and your D keys to kind of scoot back and forth a little bit until you're nicely centered on the carpet and then just to the edge of the carpet on either side. You'll get a great selfie in this. So one more tip about why you might want to bring those objects in. When you look at your performance down here, you'll notice that you can only do 5 photos. So that would be the photos, like you come in here, you say mine, you say photos, you bring in a picture. Those really tank the performance. But you can have 200 objects. And so what we were doing, bringing those 3D objects in, is going to get you a lot further. If you wanted to bring in a whole bunch of signage, I usually bring in some posters about how to move around in AltSpace with some training information on them. If you're doing a sponsored event, you could bring in your sponsor logos and maybe even have those in 3D floating around your space here. So what we covered in this video was how to go out and find other objects, including on the website. You can look at the kits and the featured kits and find a whole bunch of stuff. If you still can't find it there, go ask on Discord. Maybe somebody can help you either with one they've created or help you find one on the website. You can just search the web yourself for GLTF models. Or you can go into Paint 3D and you can make your own. And if that still isn't working, well, at that point, you're probably looking at coding some stuff in Unity. But have fun populating your space with 3D models.